Hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you my take on Chanel's Summer 2012 collection, and of course the tutorial will come after the product review, so you can go ahead and skip to halfway if you would like. But first I'm going to talk about the nail polishes as usual, and I purchased 2 out of the 3. Usually I would purchase all of them, but Holiday, the red orange nail polish to match Calypso, the Glossimer from this collection, was just a little too mundane in my opinion. There's a lot of OPI shades that could be dupes for the Chanel Holiday. So let's get started with what I have on most of my fingers. This is Island, and I was actually going to skip this nail polish, but turns out it is one of my favorite nail polishes by Chanel of all time. It is not sheer, even though it looks like it would be. That's why I didn't want to buy it. I don't like seeing my nail line. So it turns out this is a beigey, pinky, duochrome, almost a shell pearl kind of color. I adore this, and it has a slightly metallic finish, but again, it's more like a seashell, not like a true metallic. In fact, Delight is more of a metallic, and I have put together a nail wheel for you. Delight is on just one of my fingers, so you can see it in comparison to Island. It is much more brown, much more of a summery shade. It's definitely one that I would probably wear all year round though, just because it's such a nice neutral, but it's amped up by the sparkle and it feels smooth to the touch. It's not one of those very gritty nail polishes. So here we go. This one is Island by Chanel. And next to it, I have this gorgeous color by Orly. I'll list all the names of these on my blog. But I buy these nail wheels from Sally's Beauty Supply because I always get asked questions about them. So the Orly shade is the closest, but as you can see, it's much more golden, much more pink. Here we have Chanel Delight, and right next to it, I have Chanel Goldfinger. These have pretty similar finishes. Now for the Vitalumiere Aqua Compact, and this is my new favorite Chanel foundation. Granted, if you have to have normal skin for this. If you have any dry patches, this foundation will accentuate them like crazy. I usually get dry patches on my nose, around my mouth, around here, and at the top of my forehead. And wow, when I have dry patches, I just cannot wear this because it's so noticeable on my skin. But overall, I highly recommend this foundation. It's my favorite cream compact, and it is a much better version of the now discontinued Taunt Innocence. And I have reviews, a really in-depth review of both of these foundations on my blog right now. I'll link it down below in the description box if you guys are interested in purchasing this foundation, because that post should be pretty helpful in determining whether this foundation is right for you or not. But if you have oily skin, definitely stick to the Vitalumiere Aqua in the liquid form, which is this one right here. And then if you have normal skin, then definitely stick to this. But the one thing that I didn't discuss in that review was the brushes that I use. And a lot of times if I'm in a rush, I'll just use the sponge that comes with the compact. I know mine's due for a washing, so please forgive me. I'll get on that as soon as possible. But as much as I love the sponge within the compact, I think that the best brush to apply this foundation with is actually the Tom Ford foundation brush. And this brush is intended for cream formulas, and both of them are dirty because I just used them last week. But the Cover FX brush right here is the more affordable version of the Tom Ford. The Tom Ford is softer. I can tell it's made out of more finely cut goat hair, but the Cover FX works just as well. I do feel I get more of a streak-free finish with this one, but the Cover FX does the job. You just have to buff in a little bit more firmly. But the best way to apply this is grab the product from the compact and then move in circular motions and rotate backwards. So just keep doing this motion all over your face, and then you'll get a flawless finish if you're trying to build up coverage with the brush. So that's my little short brush review. Now for the bronzer. It's packaged in the typical standard Chanel bronzer packaging that is usually for limited summer collections. I really love the moisturizing bronzer formula by Chanel, but unfortunately they're not the greatest for my skin type. I actually prefer a matte bronzer, and these are very moisturizing. So moisturizing that by the end of the day I actually look a little greasy. But overall, this sable beige bronzer is definitely my top pick for summer for very natural looking bronzer. It's hard to find a natural looking bronzer because most of them tend to be too orange or too pink. This one actually has that bit of gold in it so that it looks golden on the skin, and these brown shades, even though they look really orange in the pan, they apply more sheerly and more like a true warm brown, so it doesn't look orange. And as you can see, I have a little bit of color on my cheek, so this is not the true form of this bronzer, but when you see it on my skin with just powder foundation on, and foundation below without any other cheek color on, you will see how natural looking this bronzer is. So fair skinned ladies are really going to love this, especially if you're yellow toned like me. So that's why I prefer this one for all year round use, but for the summer when I am darker, the Dior Nude is definitely a better bet for me anyway. And now for my favorite part of the collection, this is the eyeshadow duo. This is actually my first ombre contrast, and I have all the older formulas of this one. They are all discontinued now, obviously, but this is my first, and I'm so glad I bought this. This ivory shimmer here is so natural looking on the lids, but it's just the perfect highlighter for me. I don't like super frosty colors on my brow bone, but this one's just frosty enough. It's more of a sheen and less of a frost. This ivory shimmer here is so natural looking on the lids, but it's just the perfect highlighter for me. I don't like super frosty colors on my brow bone, but this one's just frosty enough. It's more of a sheen and less of a frost. And this brown here has the most multifaceted burgundy shimmer in a brown eyeshadow that I've ever seen. And though this eyeshadow duo is very basic, I can imagine that most people would get a lot of wear out of this. And because the base is not so warm and both of the colors are so well pigmented, I'm sure a lot of you will look for this eyeshadow duo and find it appealing. And last but not least, I have the 337 Glossimer. And as you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of buying just any Glossimer from any Chanel collection because a lot of them tend to look the same on my mauve toned lips. I only buy Glossimers when they actually show up different colors on my lips than what I already have in my collection. So when I saw Calypso, I knew it was a must-have. It doesn't read as orange on my lips, as you can see, and this is when I'm wearing a peach colored lipstick underneath. So it turns slightly more red, but I still love it. It's less of a gel Glossimer. A lot of the sheer ones that I have that have that great glitter, they tend to be fully gel formulas, which I adore. But my darker ones like Venus or Jupiter, I think it's Jupiter, it's one of the reds, it looks and feels just like that. So as much as I loved Dior's Summer 2012 collection, I just think that the Chanel Summer 2012 is a better fit for my personal makeup preferences. It's not as loud, it's very subdued, but it's still so wearable and so pretty on, and that's just what I love about Chanel makeup. They're just great basics and you can never have enough of that. So I highly recommend you guys go and check out the collection. I hope you guys enjoy the tutorial. And now without any further ado, let's get started with the tutorial. As always, I'm going to begin with foundation, and I'm using my Vitalumiere Aqua in B30. Now this foundation is a little light on me at the moment because I tanned up last weekend, but in general, my foundation always looks light on camera. Due to the nature of my lighting, it hits my face directly, so it washes out my face and makes the rest of my body look darker. This foundation does flash back in flash photography just a bit, but it's not super noticeable, so I think you could still wear it out as long as you don't top with a powder that has SPF in it. And generally, I don't use this sponge on its own. I use the brushes, but I already talked about those in the introduction, so if you just skip the introduction and watch the tutorial, go back and watch that because I do talk about the Tom Ford and Cover FX brushes. Now, I have some dark circles, so I'm just going to use my Touche Éclat to cover them up. I don't want to use a full-on concealer today, so I'm just going to use this highlighter. And now I'm going to set with a bit of powder foundation. And I would usually save this step for later, but I'm just going to go ahead and bronze now. This is one of the new summer bronzers. This is a lighter sable beige, and I'm going to use my old Chanel powder brush. The new ones don't look like this anymore. They are black and silver, not gold and black. The new powder brush is really soft and gentle. This one is a little more stiff. I still like to use this to apply setting powder, but today I'm just using it to apply bronzer since I don't have another Chanel brush to use. The brush that comes in the compact is pretty good when you're on the go, but I wouldn't use it to apply bronzer on my face for the entire application. And as you can see, I am darkening it up so the foundation and everything looks more even on camera. Now I'm just going to fill in my brows as usual with my Shiseido Natural Brow Pencil. And I am growing out my eyebrows again, so if they don't look perfect for the next couple weeks, that's why. I'm just growing them out to be thicker and more full. I just totally realized I wasn't filming. So all I did was take the ivory side of the duo and place this, I just flipped it around just so you could see the color, and place this all the way around my lid, all the way down it, all the way through the lids, and in the inner corners. I took my favorite Shu Uemura eyeshadow brush, and it helps to have a flat edge with this sort of eye look. And make sure you tap off all the excess. And I dragged it across the lid just like this, and then pulled out the angle, just like that. And then flipping the brush upside down, I dragged it down the lower lash line. And that's where we're at so far. So now, without taking any excess product, I'm just going to blend this out with the same brush, just carefully edging away at the shape, just building it so it's nice and round at that corner edge. You really just want to pull the eyeshadow look up. I'm going to add a little bit more color to the front of the eye. And this is without using any excess product, okay? Just whatever's on the brush. And just blend out. Now I'm going to take some more of that ivory eyeshadow. And using just the end, I'm going to blend out. Make sure you really pull that highlighter out too, so that you don't get an uneven edge of eyeshadow. Okay, now I'm just going to clean up that fallout. And now I'm going to take this sparkling pink liner. This is from Lancome's summer collection. And place this right at the corner, extending it that little bit so you get a nice sharp corner. I applied mascara to both my top and bottom lashes, so now I'm just going to set some false lashes onto my lash line. And this is the completed eye look. Now we'll finish up the rest of the face. I'm going to use a bit of NARS Mineralized Skin Finish in Stereo Rose with Sigma's Duo Fiber powder and blush brush. And I'm not going to use too much, just a little bit to warm up the complexion. And last but not least, for the lips, I'm just going to use a coral base for the lipstick. And I just wanted to use a little bit to nude out my natural mauve lip color so that we can get the most out of our Calypso Glossimer. And now that I have a slight layer on, time for Calypso. This is one of my favorite Glossimers again. I love it so much I might even get a backup. And that's a wrap. So as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all next in my Laura Mercier Summer 2012 collection review. Bye.